All right, let's go. So we are live, and I believe my voice is coming through now. Let's just give it a few seconds to catch up so I can make sure. Okay, just confirm my voice is coming through on stream. Lovely. So welcome back to the BDST YouTube channel for something a bit different to the typical Star Wars Unlimited content. This is currently a Summoner Skirmish for Riftbound at HR Games over in Sydney. Unfortunately, we missed game one between Tivi, who is playing Master Yi, and Quinton, who is playing Misfortune with the Dazzling Aurora variant of the deck. But TV managed to take game one. It was pretty hotly contested for the most part. We are midway through game two. Our bases are Aspirant's Climb, so we are playing to 9 points instead of 8, and that base was put forward by Quinton, the Misfortune player. And Tivi has put ahead Valmor's Lair as the base. So Valmor's Lair will mean that units can't move from here to base. So that will be quite a one you sort of hold for a longer period of time. Now, we just saw a bit of an exchange of, spell cards, with Quinton playing the Fading Memories, which would have made Master Yi a temporary unit and would have died at the start of Tivi's turn. However, he had the Defy in hand to counter that spell. So, good one to hold on to. I know Quinton knew it was in hand from having earlier played a Mind Splitter. And now we just look like we are trying to hold the base from Tivi's point of view with the Dead Bloom Predator. Dead Blooms on both sides. And Quinton starting his next turn going up to 4 points of a required 9. The first few turns were relatively, straightforward for these two decks. They both want to ramp into, higher rune counts and then play bigger decks, so bigger cards. So the big one for this Misfortune deck is the Dazzling Aurora, in which they just played. And what Dazzling Aurora does is at the end of the turn, you will play decks, or you'll reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal a unit and you play it ignoring the cost. So the typical strategy for that sort of deck is to have a lot of sort of very big units that you can draw into. If not, you're cycling through your deck quite quickly. There's no penalty and no real penalty in Riftbound for, going through your entire deck. I believe your opponent just draws a card when you do reach the end of your deck. But having not played a whole lot of games myself, I'm not entirely sure on that one. On Tivi's side, so he's just readied up and started his turn. So he has also a Dead Bloom Predator on his side. So the big thing with the Dead Bloom Predator is it's an 8 cost, 8 might unit, and it has deflect. So when it is targeted by its spell, you must the owner of that spell must pay an additional cost to play that. And it may be played to an occupied enemy battlefield if you so choose. So that's kind of the big thing in these two decks. Now, Quinton's got a big one here in Possession. So what Possession does, I believe it's like a change of heart, as we would expect from Star Wars Unlimited. So choose an enemy unit at a battlefield, take control of it, and recall it. So It's it's a permanent take control of it, which is pretty strong. But in doing so, you have to pay the power cost of 3 purple runes just to be able to play possession. Now, what Quinton's just done is use the Misfortune Bounty Hunter legend power to give a unit ganking for this turn and gank the Volley Bear across. So typically you have to move units from your base in front of you into a battlefield, which is in the middle, but ganking allows you to move between battlefields quite freely with your move action. If we look at TV's hand right now, he's just got 2 cards in hand, a Charm and an On Guard. Charm will allow him to move a unit, move an enemy unit, I believe it is. On Guard is only really useful if he has actual units in his hand, of which he does not. So things are looking a bit rough at the moment for Matthew, if he'll allow me to call him that. Quinton going to 8 points, needing 9 to win the game. At this stage, TV is in a position where he has to knock off both battlefields from the opponent. And it's not looking likely, especially not with a Clockwork Keeper. I don't know if there's a board wipe type card in this deck. What am I trying to... Nah, so we are just going to game 3. A bit of a trouncey in the end. So it was fairly even up until 4 points, I think, each. And then Quinton was able to throw down the Dazzling Aurora and just pull ahead in terms of value quite quickly, which is essentially what this Misfortune deck is trying to play, trying to do. So this Misfortune deck, I believe it's going to be similar to the list run by a guy called Ali Eldrazi. He is a Magic the Gathering, I believe, content creator prior to starting Riftbound content. He just won a big tournament, a 10K tournament in Orlando last week with this deck. So that was quite interesting. What have we got? We have Obelisk of Power for both, I believe. Yes. So for this third game, both players are using the Obelisk of Power base. At the start of each player's first beginning phase, that player channels 1 rune. So for TV, this means he will start with 3 runes. And for Quinton, as the player going second, he will start with 4 runes on his first turn. Just a way to, I guess, ramp into those bigger cards like the Dazzling Aurora that we haven't actually seen from Tivi. I don't know if he's playing the Dazzling Aurora version of Yi. I don't believe he is if he's playing those sort of mid-rangey units, such as Kiana. So yeah. Kiana's an interesting one. So when she conquers, she gets to, I believe, either draw a card or play a rune exhausted. And she also has the deflect keyword, which is quite good. Quinton, on the other hand, has just played stacked deck. He can look at the top 3 cards of his deck and draw 1 into his hand. So really good deck, really good card when you're trying to filter down to that Dazzling Aurora. That comes out, I believe, on 8 or 9 runes, and have to channel 2 power, 2 orange power. I am getting message. So I will just be the faceless void for the time being. Let's see. So I have chat up. Cool. Let's pop that one out. Okay, so Quinton's managed to find a Mind Splitter, which allows him to look at TV's hand and discard a card from that. Quite a good card just to play straight out. Even better if it comes off a Dazzling Aurora, but I'm assuming, well, from what we can see, he doesn't currently have that in his hands. So, interestingly enough, let's see. Okay, this seems more like the list that Tiffy would be playing. So TV holding at the start of his turn, going to 2 points. He is getting ready to play the Tasty Fey Folk, I believe. Oh, no, he is playing the Master Yi. And Master Yi is really good in that he enters ready. 7 cost, 1 power, 1 orange power. 6 might unit, I enter ready, and has ganking. So pretty useful for going between the 2 battlefields. Also, the Yi Legend power is quite powerful when holding. So when a friendly unit defends alone, it gets +2. So that Master Yi is effectively going to be an 8 might unit, and the Kiana there is going to be a 6 might unit. Again, we're seeing that fading memories, in which it'll give one of the units temporary, so that it dies at the start of Tivy's next turn. I assume he is picking the Master Yi based on that move. Pushing the Mind Splitter into Kiana. Kiana 6 might. On guard, very powerful in that it gets to grant an additional 2. So 1, and then an additional 1 if it's the only unit you control there. And Quinton responds by fighting or flighting it back to base. So fight or flight, very good movement card. It allows you to move a unit from a battlefield to its base. So Kiana sticks around, however, Quinton will go ahead and get the point for conquering that base. The Obelisk of Power, which effectively doesn't have much use currently. And finally, the temporary trigger takes place at the start of Tivy's next turn, and Master Yi gets sent to the graveyard, discard pile, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure what they define it as in this game. So TV's got something big, a White Flame Protector. So very good card in this Master Yi deck. When it is played, you may give a unit +8 for this turn. And in response, Quinton will be playing Ride the Wind, which allows him to move a unit and ready it. Pretty good move in which he gets to score a point on his opponent's turn, because that other battlefield was left undefended. However, I guess next turn, if nothing else comes down, we have an invert timeline. So each player discards their hand and draws 4 more cards. So it's another one of those cards that allows you to, I guess, dig for that Dazzling Aurora. Did he get it on there? I can't see that last card. It is... what has he just played? He has played a Confront to draw a card. We have Sabotage. All right, so look at his hand, discard a non-unit card. The Rune Prison would have been nice to stun that Mind Splitter. Mobilize, channel the Rune Exhausted if you can't draw 1. And I think he's going to go to next turn. Yep, so TV goes up to 5. Channels 2 runes. Readies his resources, not following the ABCD of, what is it? Jesus, I don't even remember. Activate, beginning, channel, draw. So the 4 phases to start a turn. White Flame Protector going into that base, or battlefield, sorry. We'll take down the Mind Splitter, 8 might 2 7, and Tivi's now just going to try and reinforce a little bit. Stalwart Pro, not going to do a whole lot in this matchup, but Tivi, I believe, is holding up a whole bunch of interaction at the moment, so it will be very interesting to see what comes out. We still haven't seen that Dazzling Aurora from Quinton's side, and he just wasn't able to find it in time. At this stage, if he couldn't knock off either one of the bases, Tivi would just hold at the start of the next turn and go to 8 points. So, yeah, Tivi gets there 2 games to 1. Obviously, Dazzling Aurora just massive in that matchup. And it really just sort of seemed that was Quinton's only out and only real game plan. Just keep digging for Dazzling Aurora, and then be able to play those, I guess, big units. In a way, he does hold up a lot of interaction with the fight or flight, ride the wind, to be able to keep the opponent points down. But as we saw in that last game, no Dazzling Aurora typically means no win. So, interesting round 1. Wondering what we're going to see for the rest of it. I know the BDSD boys, so that was Tivi playing Master Yi. I know Tebow is playing Kaiser, so we all booed him for that. And we all kind of wonder if James is the actual meta slave or whether it's just Tebow. And as for Clint, he's playing the Annie deck, which has typically shown more results in the North American or more the rest of the world compared to what the China meta was like. Annie was relatively not seen. Again, one of those, I guess, proving grounds champions, which Riot had told us weren't as powerful, but I guess people will find a way when it comes to card games. Let's see. I am getting messages. Pop out chat. Drawing one does suck, Clint. I'm with you on that. There's so many times I'm used to drawing 2 cards at the end of my turn, and then going to a game like this and you only draw 1 makes me a little bit sad inside. It's interesting coming from SWU. Like, I had a conversation with Blake Moody the other day because I was like, oh, I love being able to draw 2 cards at the end of my turn, keep on adding to my hand. And he's like, yeah, well, when you think about it, you're actually just drawing 1 because you're resourcing it. But like, a lot of the decks I play in SWU, you stop resourcing at 5 or 6. So by that point, I am drawing 2 cards, and I love having a handful of cards that I can use. But yeah, drawing 1, definitely something to get used to. And I think it really goes to show the importance of card draw in a game like this, the importance of cards like Stack Deck, which allow you to dig through the top 3 cards and draw 1. A lot of the, I guess, purple cards have that sort of ability to filter through your deck to try and find what you need. Because I guess a lot of Riftbound, from my experience. Yes. Hello. Matt against Owen. Okay. Before this game starts, I am just going to grab a quick drink. So we will let the players get set up for now.
Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to
All right, we are back, and we get to see a Kaiser versus Lee Sin. It was Max, not that. So, this table one, so I'm assuming both players won their first matchup. Good to see the Lee Sin out. What do we expect from these decks? So Kaiser, I guess, big known meta bully. Just has so much interaction, so many strong units in the red and the blue colors. I guess highlighted by the Kaiser champion, which can come out accelerated for 5 and recycle 1, and add 4 might to the board. So definitely hoping, well, bit of personal bias that I want to see this Lee Sin player win, but we'll see how they go. So the Lee Sin ability is interesting in that you can buff a friendly unit. So for those coming from, I guess, a Star Wars Unlimited background, buffing is just like an experience token, except you can only have 1 buff per unit. Orange Lee Sin card, however, that he has in his champion unit zone is not the one that allows him to have as many buffs as he wants. It's the one that gives him +2, or gives each buff +2, which could be quite useful in this matchup. The battlefields that we are playing over today, or in this matchup: Monastery of Hirana from the Lee Sin player Omar. When you conquer here, you may spend a buff to draw 1. And he has just played a very good card in this deck, which is Cythria of Cloudfield, which allows you to, when another unit is played, gives you a buff. Let's have a look at Kaiser. So Kaiser playing with a Chinese deck. That card is Ravenbloom Student. So for each spell you play, you get +1 per turn. Managed to find 2 of them, and then also a Watchful Sentry. Cheap unit, but when it dies, it draws 1. So it essentially self-replicates, which is quite useful. The Kaiser player put forward. Sorry, this match is moving very quick. We've got Reaver's Row as the other battlefield. When you defend here, you may move a friendly unit here to base, just allowing a quick getaway in a lot of cases. Cythria moving up to base. So Omar going to 1 point, Kaiser matching it with 1 point, going to 2 now with the hold at the start of their turn, and they are going to 6 resources, or 6 runes, sorry. One of them is a Fury rune, so a red one. They will be able to play that Kaiser accelerated, which they will do now, and allow Max to put a 4 might unit into the battlefield. And Omar responds with Discipline, quite a good card in the green color, which gives him +3. Max responds with Cleave, which also gives Kaiser +3. And then the Defy comes down to take down the board to remove the Cleave. So now I believe we're looking at 5 might on the part of Cythria and 4 might on the Kaiser. Or maybe they just had the same amount of might. Does Discipline maybe? Oh, sorry, Discipline is +2. Yep, so they just trade off. Watchful Sentry moves in to get the point and take Max to 3 points. Omar on his turn is playing Kiana, so a card that we saw in the last game. quite good into the Kai'Sa matchup because of that deflect. Kai'Sa is playing a lot of spells, so having to pay an extra cost in order to play them can be quite taxing in the long run. However, Max just seems to be in a very dominant position at this point, taking the double hold and going to 5 points. And he managed to pick up another Kai'Sa, not going to accelerate it this time, and a Pouty Po just to add more presence to the board. This is going to be very hard for Omar to do much about. I mean, Kai'Sa is effectively tapped out. He can play like a retreat or something to save his units. I'm just going to move into the battlefield to contest with the Watchful Sentry. Watchful Sentry allows him to draw a card at the end of turn. He's going to spend the buff from the Monastery of Harana and draw an additional card. That buff can just be replayed with the Lee Sin Legend ability, which is quite powerful. Lee Sin's an interesting one because I feel like a lot of the buffing capabilities have been outshone by Set, who uses buffs quite well. We see a Caitlyn. So Caitlyn isn't one I've seen a whole lot, but from memory, must be assigned damage last and can tap to deal damage equal to her might to a unit at a battlefield. But you can only use that when you're at a battlefield, so it's quite a little bit of risk. Only has 3 might, and the Hextech Ray should be able to deal with that, with Max not having to spend a power because of the Kai'Sa Legend ability. Very powerful with spells like that. Defy coming in to save the Caitlyn in this case. Feels a little bit bad because Omar still has to, I guess, recycle one of his Calm runes. Calm is the green color, right? Yes, indeed. And we are getting an Icathian Rain from the Kai'Sa player. So one of the, I guess, more expensive cards in the deck. Allows them to deal 2 damage 6 times in a row. That is very powerful. We're looking at 12 damage here, which would be enough to take down both Kiana and Caitlyn. Now, I'm not quite sure how the deflect works in this case, because are they treated as separate instances? I'm not quite sure. For those watching, wanting an update on the cricket, so Cooper Connolly just got out for 77, unfortunately, but the Scorchers still travelling well at 152 for 2 off 12.5 overs. The Brisbane Heat just don't look like they have much of an idea this year, which is quite sad. Anyways, back to this game. Max has been able to ready up everything. I think he just Icathian Rain to take out the Caitlyn because the deflect cost would have been too high. And we have oh, I've not seen this card before. Okay. What is this card? And a Rune Prison. Wait a minute. It is a block. Give a unit shield 3 and tank this turn. So taking the Kiana up to 7. Rune Prison, stunning a unit. So this might be quite a favorable trade. So stunning a unit in Riftbound means that it doesn't deal combat damage this turn. So he would have stunned the ISO by the looks of it. And then also On Guard is a very good in the calm color, green, allowing additional might to be added. So in this case, it'll be 2 because it is the only unit at that battlefield. We have, okay, Stupefy. So Stupefy reduces the might of a unit, but it's mostly being played now to draw a card and also increase the might of the Ravenbloom student. So it's now up to 4, 6, and in this case, Kiana manages to take down both the Kaiser and the Ravenbloom student. The Pouty Poro doesn't die in this case because there was only, I believe, 6 or... Yeah, not enough damage to take down all 3, but because of the stun, it is able to move back to base. So Omar going up to 3 points. 3 or... He is playing first mate to ready a unit and throw the Kiana into the Ravenbloom student. Going to 4, managed to conquer both battlefields this turn, quite powerful, and also the Kiana ability allows him to either draw a card or channel a rune exhausted. We have another Cythria, which will allow herself to get buffed. I don't know if he drew that off the top of the deck. Maybe it would have been smarter to play the Cythria first and then the first mate, because then you get the free buff, but I have to assume that Omar maybe got the Cythria off the top of the deck. Pouty Poro going in there for Max, conquering the battlefield. Poros in this game, just as amazing as they are in ARAM. Don't forget to feed your Poros their Poro snacks. I'm sure they'll love you for it. But this allows Max to go up to 7 points. All he has to do is hold one of the battlefields at the start of his next turn, and then he is winning. And then he has also played a Falling Star, which allowed him to deal 3 damage twice. We have... Sorry if there's dog noise in the background. So we currently... Oh, okay. No, that should do it. Yep. So what happened there is the Ravenbloom student attacked it with Assault 3 from the Cleave, which would have taken them up to 6 total might. So 3 from the Assault, 1 from playing a spell, and 2 base might. Enough to take down the Kiana and conquer both battlefields in the same turn to get up to 8 points. So Max manages to take game 1. I was pretty happy with the resistance that Omar showed in that game. I hope to see a lot more of this Lee Sin deck, especially against the Kaiser. But it is the meta bully for a reason, isn't it? All right, while we're waiting for these 2 players to sideboard, another cricket update. So the Perth Scorchers are moved to 176 for 2 off 14.1 overs. They are currently going at almost 12 and a half an over, which is good to see. Finn Allen playing a big hand in this with 75 off 35. Look, once he gets going, it's pretty hard to stop him. I think we saw last season he either got out in the first over or he went on to make a big score, which is pretty interesting to see. He has been joined at the crease by Aaron Hardy, who has 4 or 5 at the moment. But I'm assuming he hasn't had much of the strike. Matt Kuhneman, 3 overs, none for 50. Whew, rough. All right, battlefield selection for this game. What are we going to see? I'm thinking either Candlelit or Grove for Omar on Lee Sin. We get a Targon's Peak for Max, the Kaiser player. So Targon's Peak, when you conquer here, ready 2 runes at the end of this turn, and Grove of the God Willow for Omar. When you hold there, draw a card. Big downside of this deck, this particular battlefield, is that Kaiser loves drawing cards. I mean, I guess what deck in this game doesn't love drawing cards? But if Max manages to hold this battlefield, it's going to be a lot more hurtful to Omar than I think if he himself, I guess, holds the battlefield. It is one of those, I guess, battlefields you pull out in either a game 2 or game 3 when you know that you are going to be first. So you can assume that you are going to get first choice of placing a unit on a battlefield. But with cards around like Sneaky Deckhand, which isn't in either of these 2 decks, that's not always the case. For Max, we see a Smokescreen, not quite sure. So they're keeping a Smokescreen and a Hextech Ray. They got a Lecturing Yordle and a Cleave. Quite a good start, especially if they're going second. Lecturing Yordle will allow them to draw an additional card. Omar playing Cythria on turn 1. One of the good cards that you want to see on turn 1, I think, being able to buff, and it will evenly match with the Lecturing Yordle played by Max. Omar going to 4 runes this time. He will look to buff the Cythria, I'm hoping, and he will try and conquer Grove of the God Willow. Considering there's no... Oh, okay. So he's using the Lee Sin ability to buff her, which isn't ideal. You probably want to play a unit, but I think in this case he's probably holding up interactions such as On Guard, Defy, Discipline, in order to protect Cythria. Now, he's going to be forced to use that with the Hextech Ray coming down. Discipline, giving Cythria an extra 2 mites for this turn. Stupefy, reducing it by 1, so currently would die. Oh, and then the On Guard comes down to give Cythria an extra 2. So a lot of cards spent in that 1 interaction. Are they still gonna go? So they're just trying to work out the might totals. Smokescreen reducing it by 4. Oof. And I think that's going to be the end of that chain. So quite a few reactions there. And that's all just to say that Cythria does not survive. And I guess the worst thing we could have hoped did happen for Omar, in that Max was able to hold or conquer Grove of the God Willow, and hopefully he can take that back this turn. You do not want the Kaiser player drawing cards, unfortunately. All right. And Omar has dropped the Carnivorous Snapvine, I believe it's called. Let me have a look. Am I just getting it wrong? It is. Oh, it's is it? No, it is. What is that card? Kraken Hunter, right next to it. So it could have been accelerated. It does have a high power cost of 2, and has Assault. As you play me, you may spend any number of buffs as an additional cost. Reduce my power cost by each buff you spend. Unfortunately, at that point, Omar had no buffs on his side, so having to pay the full cost for this unit, unfortunately. And then we just see Max playing Kaiser Accelerated, pushing into Targon's Peak, and looking to hold both battlefields. But the Kraken Hunter will hopefully have something to say about that against this lecturing Yordle. Surely teach him for lecturing. Yeah. Looking at Max's hand, I don't think he had a whole lot of interaction in this case. The Pit Rookie coming down for Omar, which when you play me, buff another friendly unit. And the Pit Rookie is just getting itself buffed by the Lee Sin Legend ability. Okay, so Max just bringing Kaiser back. Darius being played. So Darius is really good in that when you play your second card each turn, it gets readied and gets +2. So that cleave is going to be massive. So the +2 from Darius and then +3 from cleave takes him up to a 10. But he is stopped in his tracks with a Rune Prison, stunning Darius. So it deals no combat damage this turn, and just has to walk like a sad boy back to his base. So this allows Omar to tick up to 3 points. Good to see. Max is still very threatening on the base with both a Darius and a Kaiser, and a Thousand-Tailed Watcher in hand, which is going to spell a bit of disaster next turn, possibly for Max, unless he can pull out one of those big Rune Prison plays again. It's going to be very hard. Just Kaiser has access to so many good cards. But yeah, it just is what it is. No, Omar just thinking through his turn. He does have the Lee Sin champion unit off to the side there that can come in for 6 this turn, moving the Kraken Hunter back, and the Pit Rookie into Targon's Peak. Interesting choice, but I guess going for the points is probably more impactful. Yeah, going to 4 points, getting ahead in points is probably quite big. We see another Kiana come down, which will be very good. I kind of wonder if the strategy at this stage from Omar is to just try and reinforce a single battlefield, because at this point, I think you're looking at Max trying to take both battlefields on next turn, and that might spell a bit of trouble. But I guess then at least Omar knows what he's playing against. So Max taking his next turn. We have the Darius and the Kaiser and 8 runes available, which, as you all may know, is right in range for the Thousand-Tailed Watcher to come in accelerated. And what that'll allow will allow Max to do is to reduce the power or the might of each enemy unit by 3. Ooh, but instead he goes the Acathian Rain. So again, 6 times dealing 2 to something. And the big thing with this is it doesn't just have to be at a base. Oh, sorry, at a battlefield. It can be in the base as well. So I can imagine that Max is going to target both the Pit Rookie at the battlefield and also the Kraken Hunter in the base. Because if not, he'll have to pay extra for the deflect on Kiana. Kraken Hunter currently a 6 might unit. Pit Rookie currently 3. Unyielding Spirit. Oh, such a good card in this matchup. Allows him to prevent, allows Omar to prevent all spell damage for this turn. So Max had to spend 7 and recycle 3 runes, only to have it all prevented. He does, however, get to push in the Kai'Sa into the Guru for the Godwillow, and then a Darius. And we are seeing that card again. It is block. So block. Give a unit shield 3 and tank for this turn. Stupefy, reducing it by 1. However, the Defy comes down to defy that Stupefy. And we are seeing the Pit Rookie get the hold against the Darius. So massive, massive turn for Omar. This is just what this Lee Sin deck is trying to do. Has that quality into like interaction and I guess like tricks. So that's really cool to see. You'll see Omar tick up to, I don't know if he ticked up to 6 for the hold or if he ticked up to 5. We are seeing Kiana move in. So Max has used all his runes. So Omar knew that he had some relative safety in being able to push into there. And we are seeing I believe, Spirit's Refuge. I think that card is called Spirit's Refuge. When you play me, buff a friendly unit, and friendly buffed units have deflect if they didn't already. So this is a gear, which gives all of his units deflect as long as they got a buff, which is going to be so good against this Kai'Sa deck. Look, I'm sorry for doubting the Lee Sin last game, Omar. It was looking rough at one point, but you really got a follower from this showing. Thousand-Tailed Watcher will be an interesting one to play around, but at least Omar has 4 runes up. It'll be interesting to see. Oh, the Rune Prison again, and that should be enough. That yeah, there we see Max picking up his cards, every single angle covered by Omar, and that was so good to see. All right, those looking for cricket update. Scorchers 213 for 5 after 17. I just saw, so Hardy just got out for 23, but he had just hit the 17th 6th of the night for the Scorchers, which is absolutely nuts. It's been very interesting. Matt Kuhneman bowling his 4 overs, 1 for 60, going for 15 and over, managing to get a wicket in his last, but the damage has well and truly been done. And then we are into the 17th over with Laurie Evans and Nick Hobson at the crease. Nick Hobson, famously the accountant. Did he? Oh, Hello. All right. Going into game 3. Can't wait to see more of that. There's no I'm not hiding it. I am definitely cheering for Omar in this matchup. Just to see, I guess, new and inventive ways that people are playing around this Kai'Sa that is such a massive part of the meta at the moment. So yeah. Battlefields for the 3rd game haven't been revealed. I am just going to go fill up my water and I will be back to commentate on game 3. But don't go anywhere. Alrighty, game 3. What battlefields have we got? We have Star-Tipped Peak. So when you hold here, you may channel one rune Exhausted. I believe that was played by Max, the Kai'Sa player. Is that Sigil of something? Not quite sure. We are seeing the... Ooh, don't you love the sound of cracking open a beverage on a Friday afternoon? The Stalwart Pro getting buffed. So it has +1 while it's defender. And then one more from the buff will take it up to 4, and it will effectively match the Kai'Sa that was played by Max. And move into the Star-Tipped Peak, which is going to be quite useful. So when you hold here, you may channel a rune Exhausted. Giving Omar a bit of a leg up in interaction. What card is that? Is that Brynhir Thundersong? When you play me, opponents can't play cards this turn. Look, I'd feel bad if that's the, I guess, only card he has. It's one of those cards that, I guess, from Max's side, he probably wants to hold up for those back and forth, defy, on guard, like Rune Prison Wars that we saw earlier. Omar, on his turn, has just gone ahead and played the Lee Sin. First time we've seen that from the champion, or from the, I guess, champion unit zone, whatever it's called. And I believe he's also hidden a card there. It could be that block all over again. I guess the big downside, so with Max not getting a solid turn 1 play, it allowed Omar to, I guess, take more of the initiative in this matchup. And from what I can see, he is just trying to hold one battlefield, take the 1 point each turn, and hopefully win that way. So we will see if that's how things work out. I guess the challenging thing from Max's point of view is like he still wants to hold the other battlefield in order to, I guess, keep pace with Omar on the Lee Sin. But yeah, he also has to break the hold on the other battlefield. We are seeing a Get Excited, which is essentially force throw, but you can only target yourself. So discard a card and you deal damage equal to its cost. Guys, please no phones at the we are looking up, I guess, rulings. So I think it is looking at the card itself to get the translation. So Get Excited. I don't have a direct line into the players, unfortunately. Get Excited allows you to discard a card, deal its energy cost as damage to a unit at a battlefield. So in this case, he would discard a Time Warp, which is 10 damage. Yeah, so they're looking up the card text, which is an action. So that Time Warp going to good use, I guess, taking down the Lee Sin, which would have been, I believe, 9 might in total. What do we got here? We have a, believe, a Darius, and we are seeing both. So this guy has the block comes out. It's only enough to take down the Darius, and Max has done well to break the hold that Omar had on that base, or on that battlefield, sorry. All right, what is Omar going to be able to do about this? He invested a lot of resources in, I guess, setting up that hold. So for it to get broken just in a single turn, it probably feels quite bad from his point of view. I think at this stage, he's just going to have another turn of setting up. So we're seeing a Kiana played, still 5 runes available. But unfortunately hasn't got his champion unit available. Kiana's going to get buffed. So and then what are we going to see? A Kraken Hunter again. So hopefully spending that buff. We're chucking 2 under, so that's going to come in accelerated because the reduced power cost. And the good thing about that is it'll be able to take down Bryn here. Could have gone to either base in this instance, but the start at peak does allow him to channel a rune Exhausted on Conquer. Sorry, when you hold. Okay, so he's hoping to hold until next turn. Stupefy coming down, reducing his might by 1. So Kraken. It also allows him to filter through. So currently Kraken Hunter down to 3 might, 2 cards drawn. We are seeing another Kaiser accelerated, which will be enough to take down the Kraken Hunter. Yeah, that's where he's going. And unfortunately, in Omar's situation, he had no runes, so no interaction available. Only possible, he had no buffs either. Now Kaiser or Max playing, being able to hold both battlefields with Kaiser is it feels like an uphill battle on Omar's side. Although, having said that, they both no. I think you wanna buff, or unless he's got some sort of interaction. Yep. So currently 4-4 might. The discipline comes down to give it +2. So currently 6-4. Hextech Ray dealing 3 damage. Also because the Kiana's got deflect. So we'll have to recycle 1 extra rune in order to play that. So at this stage, they will currently just trade. Let's see if Omar wants to do anything in order to protect that Kiana. I think this is going to be the game right here. If Kiana dies, it's going to be very hard from Omar's point of view to, I guess, take either battlefield. At this stage, Kaiser going up to 6 next turn. So yeah. Ooh, and we are seeing a primal strength, giving the Kiana +7. So able to save the Kiana. Obviously, that's one of the cards that Omar would have loved to have kept hold on to for a more impactful moment. But unfortunately, it's either this or the game at this point. So he did what he have to. But at this point, Kaiser has 8 runes. Am I 8 or 9 runes? 1, 2, 8 runes. I'm not quite sure what Max has in his hand. Going up to 6. Thousand-tailed Watcher. Yep. Comes in accelerated. Given the Kiana -3. The Rune Prison comes down. That has been so big in this matchup. So good. It's put a stopper on the Watcher twice now. But still, at the start of next turn, that card is going to be able to ready. So we'll see what happens. Kaiser getting pulled back to base just to set up for the final turn. I don't know if Max actually got the point for holding on his last turn. I can't remember. We are seeing, I believe that card is called Meditates. Meditation is additional cost to play this. You may exhaust a friendly unit. If you do, draw 2, otherwise draw 1. So wonder what he's filtering for. We have Pit Rookie coming in. And buffing Kiana. And a Caitlyn as well. And finally, so, what was that called again? Spirit's Refuge. So each buffed card effectively has deflect, which is so good in this Kaiser matchup. Now, Max is readying. I will be right back. Sorry, just had to let my wife in the door. What have we? Yes, not a whole lot. So Max is just trying to work out what he has to do. I think at this stage he can just look to hold the other battlefield. We're going to see a falling star. The deflect cost, so is going to be 2 extra. So he would have to pay 4 power total just to play this card. Of course, one of it paid by the Kaiser Legend ability. But it will take care of the Kiana. And no, we see the Unyielding Spirit again, so preventing all spell damage. Wow. So it's interesting from at this stage with Max being ahead on points, 6-5. He just has to move into the other battlefield and hold it. I'm not quite sure if I'm wrong about that, because it feels like at this point he's just he's playing like he's the one behind, which isn't really the case. See the smoke screen come down. Yeah, so the Kaiser going in. You know Omar has no interaction because he has no runes available. And what? He's gonna try and throw the Watcher in. And that will be enough to take down all 3 and trade the Watcher. Then we have the Watchful Sentry or the Horror. Okay, so I was probably wrong. I'm okay to admit that. But yeah, there's the handshake. Being able to take down all of Omar's, I guess, units. Yeah, just couldn't. I think he ended up just drawing interaction and not having any units to actually use it on, which is unfortunate. But honestly, very good showing from Omar. I was really happy to see that Lee Sin deck actually do what it needed to do. A few really well timed Rune Prisons. The Unyielding Spirit also really good. The Defy battles were really interesting. Spirit's Refuge came up clutch in game 2, and also meant that Max had to recycle quite a few of his runes with both the Necatian Rain and also the Falling Star in game 2. And I am hoping the players are just reporting their scores and not doing anything sus on their phones on stream, but we will see. And for those interested in the cricket, Scorchers finished up 257 for 6. That is absolutely nuts at the innings break. Brisbane Heat need 258 runs to win. I don't know if it's something going on with the Gabba pitch, but yeah, we will see. And players obviously discussing the game. I don't know if we have any results from anyone else. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. unfortunately, that is going to be the last game that I am going to be commentating. I don't know if there's going to be anyone else on after me. Otherwise, you can just watch some Riftbound games with a bit of Star Wars music in the background. So, thanks very much for having me. My name's been Tim. I will see you around on the BDST channel at some point. But everyone else, have a good evening wherever you are. Cheers. Bye.